Fundação Logosófica, em prol da superação humana.
Hello, welcome to Logosofia TV. My name is Nelson Belen, and on this episode of Logosofia in 10 Minutes, I'm very happy to have back here in the studio for her second visit, Myriam Gewerc. Myriam, thanks for coming back.
Happy to be here with you, Nelson.
Myriam, you know, the last time we had a very deep discussion where we started to talk about the systems, the three systems, and we specifically, or very briefly at least, mentioned the concept of thoughts. I think it'd be good now at this point, because this was I remember a topic for me that was so fundamental when I began studying Logosophy, the idea of thoughts. So I think we should start there. Why don't you describe again the logosophical concept of thoughts?
Well, I can describe it again, but I'll tell you that what made me stay in Logosophy was the day the first time I identified the thought working in my mind, and I knew how to deal with it. So thoughts are, I could make an analogy here with microbes.
Microbes.
Microbes. We all have microbes are everywhere, aren't they? In our body,
Yes.
all around us, and we're very careful with them. Some can harm us, some are harmless, and exactly the same thing, this happens in the physical world. In the mental world, our microbes are thoughts, they are entities, they're completely autonomous. They can go from one mind to the other, they can be in the mental world, and they can be positive, they can be negative, they can be evil, they can be wonderful, they can have more or less influence in our lives. So they are independent, they can depend on our willpower, on our will, or not. And this is why you were saying the other day that sometimes you do things that you didn't intend to do because they were pressing, there was a pressure in your mind and you obeyed to the thoughts instead of obeying to your will.
Exactly, and that's why that's such a great analogy, comparing thoughts to microbes, because just in the same way that the microbes have a mind of their own, these thoughts that we have, many times they're well beyond our capacity to control them. You talked about the different kinds of thoughts that we have. What would be the steps that someone would take in the way we study in Logosophy to deal with the thoughts that we have, especially, as you mentioned, the bad ones?
Yes, of course. Well, we have our faculties in our mind that form the intelligence, and they are supposed to work with that, to verify, first of all, to verify where the thought is and what the thought wants us to do. This is how you identify the thought, by watching what it wants you to do. And then you can label it, let's say, and you can select it. Of course, it needs willpower, because sometimes they are stronger than we are.
Exactly, and it's so much easier said than done, to find
it
these
is.
thoughts and label them.
It's feasible.
It's possible. It's possible. I can definitely attest to that.
Yes.
Once you, as you said, the first moment that you can identify a thought is such a turning point in a person's life.
And you feel powerful.
You do.
Because if you can do this there, you can do it everywhere.
Exactly. It impacts every part of your life.
Yes.
Awareness, as you said, of these thoughts
Yes.
is huge. What would be the next step after identifying these thoughts that we have?
Well, to select the thoughts, I'll tell you a little story. They say it's Chinese, but anyway, it's a popular saying that inside ourselves we have two dogs, the bad dog and the good dog, and they're constantly fighting against each other. And then when asked which one wins, what's the answer? The one I feed most. If you feed a dog, constantly we feed the bad dogs, and then they win. but you have to feed the good dog. And this is somehow what Logosofia teaches us. The author of Logosofia, González Pecote, has a very interesting method. And he has, because the bad thoughts, they are identified with our deficiencies. There is a very interesting book you can look over in the site, Deficiencies and Propensities of the Human Being,
Yes.
where he defines all the thoughts, the bad thoughts, I mean the deficiency that nourish the bad thoughts, or where they are nourished, and the propensities. And on the other side, you have, like for the microbes, for instance, when you feel, when you fall ill, sometimes you have to take an antibiotic.
Yes.
And the antibiotic is the anti-deficiency.
The anti-deficiency, right.
Which is the thought, the good thought of the good dog.
Right,
I mean.
right. This would be the good nourishment.
Voila. So when you start nourishing because to fight the bad thought is very difficult, and very interesting. A very interesting thing is that you start nourishing the good, the anti-deficiency, and the deficiency starts getting weaker and weaker.
Exactly. As you talked about the idea of having power over your own life, right? So rather than, I don't have this deficiency, I don't have this deficiency, no, how can I deal with this deficiency? And one of the ways that you mentioned that the author of Logosofia talks about is really strengthening the anti-deficiencies that we have, or in this case, you talked about being sick, the antibodies, right, that our bodies have, you know, and sometimes, you know, we need to strengthen those in those moments that we've succumbed to our deficiencies, which are so powerful. I mean, it's something that we're always dealing with every day. Yes.
And these are our values. These are our values. We have them inside ourselves, but we don't nourish them. And if you consciously nourish them, you become much stronger against all the bad thoughts, let's say.
Exactly. You know, Myriam, the name of the program is Logosofia in 10 minutes, but I think we could probably talk for 10 hours about some of these subjects.
Yes.
Before we close out this interview, I want to make sure that you at least are able to give one example, maybe of a specific deficiency, maybe that people out there deal with all the time.
Yes, all the time. I'll tell you, impatience.
Impatience.
In the book,
I know it well.
The author of Logosofia almost excuses us. This is almost an excusable deficiency because we are always under pressure of time. And I was very impatient. I'm still impatient, but not that much. The antidote is the intelligent patience. It's not just, oh, okay, I'll wait. And to be active while you're waiting for something to happen. You do something else. You think of something else. You plan something for the future. And this is very interesting because that's the way of feeding the good thought.
Exactly. That's a great example. That's something that we're all struggling with. And so the anti-deficiency of impatience, intelligent patience, as you said.
Yes.
Myriam, I've learned so much from these interviews with you. I hope that you'll come back and do a round 3 someday.
Yes, who knows?
Thank you again for doing this. And of course, thank you all for watching this episode of Logosofia in 10 minutes. Once again, if you haven't checked out the channel, there's tons of other videos where you can go and check out Logosofia for yourself. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon. Until next time, take care.